Okay guys, I guess I want to start this one with, should you even get into hotshot trucking? Should you get in the trucking business at all right now? It's December of 2020. If you're already in the business or you've been looking to go, all you're seeing on Facebook right now and YouTube is people crying about the rates. And I can't say I blame them. You know, rates are in the toilet right now on the spot market being the load boards, okay? And honestly, again, no matter what the guys on Facebook say, 95% of all the hotshotters out here, we're living on the load boards. Yes, we do have contacts with brokers, and maybe we have a direct customer we can go directly to, but the majority of the loads we're taking, they're off the spot market. I mean, especially for the hotshot guys, you know, we're not semis. It's harder for us to walk into a customer and say, hey, can I work for you? So that being said, should you get into the business right now, or is this a good time to get into the business? Yeah, it's fine, okay? And there's actually a lot to be said for going into business, you know, this type of business in a down market. Well, one of the reasons a lot of people fail, the majority of people fail, is when, you know, the trucking market is really busy and the rates are awesome. You can get yourself any truck, any trailer, you go hit the load boards and you are making money hand over fist. You're, you know, non-CDL guy making $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 a week, you know, no problem. And you think it's the greatest thing in the world, and it never occurs to you that, hey, a year or 2 years from now, it's going to go the other way. It's really great now. Guess what it's going to be in 2 years? It's going to be really bad. The trucking market is cyclical. And so when people go in at a high point in the market, they don't plan ahead. You know, unfortunately, you know, I think the statistic is 90% of, you know, trucking companies fail within the first year. They go out of business. And that's 100%, or at least 99%, due to not having a true business plan, not knowing what the market's really like, not knowing your costs. And, you know, a lot of people, again, they come in when everything's growing great and they go, I'm gonna buy myself a new truck. You know, not a truck to do business in, but I've always wanted that new truck, and it's gonna sit in my driveway while I'm gone. Or I'm gonna buy the wife a new car, or, you know, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And they spend their money, and then all of a sudden market turns down and they can't make their payments anymore, and stuff has to be cut. They go out of business, go get a job. So why is it a good time to come in when the market's bad? Well, if you know it's quote-unquote bad, and you can do a little more research and know what the rates truly are, and if you can budget and cover your costs for your truck, your trailer, your insurance, your phone, to pay yourself, to pay for fuel, anticipating fuel is going to go up, you know, back up to $5.50 a gallon. If you can make it successfully, you know, pay your bills and pay yourself and still have money left over for, you know, savings and such, then that's a good plan. And it teaches you discipline. So going in to this business at a bad time of the year, or a bad, you know, market, is not necessarily a bad idea, but be careful. If you are thinking about going into this business, this, you know, cycle right now where everything's, you know, bad, you better have some money saved up. And when I say money, I'm talking, you know, after you've paid all your expenses and you're ready to go, $10, $15, $20, $30,000 sitting there waiting for you. The reason is you're not going to be profiting very much relative to when it's good out there. So it's going to take a long time to build that cushion up. Well, you out there and you start driving, and all of a sudden a month later your engine blows up, or your transmission blows up, or somebody hits you and sideswipes your truck and your truck's out of business for 2 or 3 weeks. Where's the money going to come from to get that stuff fixed? Where's the money going to come from to pay your bills? If you don't have a substantial amount of cash just sitting there as insurance for you, don't do this, okay? Just don't. If you want to be a truck driver, go get your CDL and go be a company truck driver, okay? If you're going into the trucking business, I'm going to keep it sort of simple and generic. I'm not going to talk box trucks and spinner vans and things like that. I'm talking about flatbed. Flatbed, potentially, you know, dry van or whatever, something like that. But let's hold flatbed. You've got your non-CDL setups, you've got your CDL setups for HOTSHOT, and then you have semis, okay? If it were me and I had the option, okay, I would not do HOTSHOT, period. I would go straight to a semi. Why? Well, because there's the most work available. It's that simple. Semis just have a lot more options. Semis, you can go into a customer and say, hey, I'm Ron, I've got this truck, I'd like to work for you. You know, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but you can make relationships, and it's much easier to get direct shippers. You go onto the load boards, which if you're thinking about getting into this business, get yourself a load board, get Truck Stop or DAT or whatever. I prefer Truck Stop, and see what loads are out there that are available for you to carry. And when you put in 48,000 pounds and 48 or 53 foot or something along those lines, you're going to see a whole hell of a lot more loads available, more consistent loads with smaller deadheads going back and forth in nicer areas than you're going to see for a CDL setup for a HOTSHOT. And you know, the CDL setup for the HOTSHOT is going to see a whole hell of a lot more loads than the non-CDL guy. So if you're going in and if you have the option and you're looking to buy a truck, you're looking to buy a trailer, my recommendation would be go CDL, Class A, get yourself into a flatbed or a step deck. Okay, if you want to do dry van, great. Reefer, I don't know enough about reefer. Okay, but we're going to keep it simple. You say, Ron, I don't have $250,000 for a semi. I'm gonna drop, you know, $65,000 on a 1-year-old, you know, pickup truck and another 20 grand on a trailer. You know, I've got 85,000, or that's all I can get credit for. Well, guess what? You can go get a nice older semi with probably 500,000, 750,000 miles on it. That's probably already had the engine rebuilt, maybe the transmission rebuilt, things like that, for between $30,000 and $50,000. Okay, and then you can go get yourself a decent flatbed or a step deck for $25,000 or $30,000. Okay, so you're dropping the same amount of money to get into it. Yes, you need a Class A license with air brake endorsement and probably manual transmission. But if you can do that, your chances of being successful in this business are way ahead of anybody else's. Okay, but Ron, you know, semi tires, they're $400, $500 a piece. Okay, the tires for my F450 are $450 a piece, but the oil changes. Okay, but you don't change the oil as often. Yeah, but they're so expensive. Yeah, but they don't break down. You know, apples to apples, the semi is going to run hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles before you have a major breakdown. Does that mean it can't happen? Of course not. You know, but your chances of success running a semi are better. Well, let's step down to, I don't want to be in a semi, I want to be in a pickup truck. Okay, great. You're going to run CDL, you're going to run non-CDL. Well, again, if you have a Class A license, set up for a CDL. Okay, let's talk about that for a second. If you go on the load board and you put in 35 feet, 10,000 pounds, okay, non-CDL setup, pretty common, 35 footers. Okay, in any given area, you might see 15 loads available to you. Okay, you change that to 18,000 pounds and 40 feet. 15 loads now might turn into 115 loads, you know, available to you. Does that mean that, you know, that's all different loads? No, they repeat themselves. But you very well may have 10 times as much work available by going to that CDL setup. Well, what does that mean? Well, that means it's easier to find work. Yeah, you're in Chicago, you can probably find work for a non-CDL, but that Chicago takes you out to Iowa. Well, now what? Well, all that's out there is 12 and 15 and 17,000 pounds of loads. Well, I can't pull that with my F250, not legally anyway. You know, so if you have the choice, go CDL. CDL setup. If you're going to do a CDL setup, my recommendation would be get the largest truck you can. I'm in an F450. I wish I had an F550. Why? Because of the higher gross vehicle weight rating. Right? Not that I really want to carry much more than I do. I max out right now at about 18,000 pounds, a little bit more than that. But I've had some 20,000 pound loads that I wish I could take, and I can't legally take them because it puts my truck over gross. Not my axles, but my truck is over gross at that point in time. It just goes down to there's more available work for the bigger truck. If you have the option, definitely go a minimum of 40 foot. If you can go 45 or 48 foot, let's say you can purchase a step deck, an actual step deck, not a gooseneck with a top on the back, a top on the neck. That's not a step deck. If you can get an actual step deck and a 4,500 or 5,500 truck, that's a money maker in the hotshot world, if you will. I don't have a CDL, Ron. I can't get one. I don't want to get one. I just want to start going now. Okay, well, if you're that person, I don't want to take the time to get my CDL, or I don't have $1,000 or $3,000 or $5,000 to get my CDL. Well, you shouldn't do this. Okay, if that's your reason, is I don't have the money or I don't have the time, well, I can pretty much guarantee, I'll bet you lunch, maybe lunch and dinner, that you don't have a real business plan, that you've just been watching YouTube videos and whatever, and you see how great this is, and hey, I got an F-250 out there, and I got a trailer, I'm gonna go hotshot. Okay, you can, all right, but that's not a plan. Now, that is different than going, you know what, I don't want to run CDL, I don't want to have that much weight, whatever, I just want to run non-CDL. Okay, if that's your reasoning, and you actually do have a business plan, what are my recommendations for a setup? My setup would be an F-250 or a 2500 Ram or something like that, single rear wheel, and actually get a lighter weight, if you can, 40-foot trailer. Why? Because that 40 feet is going to open up loads that a 35-foot trailer can't. Something as simple as containers. Okay, you're allowed a 4-foot overhang. Well, if you have a 35-foot trailer, you cannot put a 40-foot container on there because you have a 5-foot overhang. You are over length. You will get busted. So why do you want to get a 250 and a lightweight trailer? Well, it's simply so you can have as much carrying capacity as possible. Non-CDL is 26,000 pounds gross. Well, if you're in a 3,500 dually and you have a D-rated trailer that weighs 6,000-7,000 pounds by itself, and your truck weighs 10,000, 11,000 with all your stuff in there, and all of a sudden you're rolling down the road and you're 16,000-17,000, well, it means you can only carry 9,000 pounds. Okay, I had a driver working for me. He could only carry 7,500 because he was in a 1-ton Chevy and he had a D-rated trailer. Well, that D-rated trailer is heavy because it's a heavier trailer. Trying to find 35 feet and 7,500 pounds sucked. All right, so if you are going to go non-CDL, 2,500 single rear wheel, put good tires on it, obviously, and get yourself the lightest 40-foot trailer you can. Keep in mind, it is a lightweight trailer. Okay, you can't beat the crap out of these things. Those lightweight trailers, they're really not designed to run 100,000 miles a year. And I'm going to get into trailer maintenance in some of these other videos, and I'll try to do some photos and such, but really it's just going to be descriptive. So anyway, just to recap, my opinion only, if you're going to get into trucking, get a semi. You can't get a semi for whatever reason, have your Class A, get into CDL level hotshot. You don't have your Class A and you're not inclined to get it, but you have a business plan and you've done your research, you want to be successful, 2500 series truck, lightweight, 40-foot trailer. Lightweight meaning probably 2 6,000 pound axles, maybe 2 7,000 pound axles, something along those lines, and just go from there. So that's it. There's never a bad time really to get into this business as long as you have a proper plan and proper expectations. And we'll go on to the next subject. Thanks, guys.